though, Sam. It's going to be so interesting topics. So good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Can you see comments, Sam?
I can.
Yes, we are on. You'll see them from YouTube as well, won't you?
Yes, it's just that one is YouTube.
I'm only on StreamYard because I couldn't turn down YouTube. So, but I can see the comments are there. The comments are there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Evening, Donna, Carol, and the Gathering.
Who is it from the Gathering?
I know, and I forgot. Meryl told me.
Well, Meryl told you we were going to be on this, yeah.
No, it's not Meryl. Oh. But I know Meryl told me
Scotty, mate.
And I forgot.
Hey, what up, Rebecca?
Evening, everybody joining. I'm just going to try and get comfortable. Just move my fan on to me because I'm absolutely red hot again. So tonight, Rachael will be joining us a little bit later on. She's just had a guest turn up. So she's just running slightly late, but she will be joining us. Evening, Deanna. And tonight we're joined by the lovely Sam from
Exploring with Spirits and Demons. Hey up, guys.
Evening.
Is that Ben?
And Sam is with Life Afterlife TV Productions. And they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves, how they got into paranormal, and then we're going to hit you with so many different topics, you're not going to know what's it, yeah.
Meryl, see Meryl's here.
I know Meryl's in. I forgot who she told me who
was. Come on, Amy, get on the right one.
Desiree, that's it. Desiree. Evening, everybody joining. So, Sam, when you're ready.
Red one, Luke. Blah, blah.
When you're ready, my lovely Sam, if you want to tell us a bit about how you got started, how Life After Life come about, and some interesting things that's happened to you on your paranormal investigations.
Yeah. Well, I started about 2.5 years ago, but I actually wasn't a paranormal channel. I was sort of gone down the road of, oh my gosh, going out exploring and stuff like that. And I had been very, very sick before I started up the channel. And I was binge watching Mo Sargi and oh my gosh for the the abandoned content and stuff like that. And I says, I'm sitting here watching this. I need to get myself better. I need to get out of that. And I need to do it for myself. There's plenty of abandoned places. So at the time there was.
Yes,
and
there was.
I wasn't too far into it when I came across this abandoned hospital here in Derry, which is nearly impossible to get into.
Yeah.
But potluck, somebody else had broken into it. I got access to it. It was the holy grail. I've seen, I've got to this massive hospital, and and you're buzzing. I'm saying, this is going to go viral because you're not used to big abandoned buildings, and this is huge. Well, one of the things that Oh My Gosh used to say is if you hear anything or see anything in the background, put it in the comments and stuff like that. And I started saying things like that. Thing was, what I used to do when I went home was I used to put a pair of headphones on and I used to listen to the audio and that. And I picked up my first EVP walking into one of the rooms in the hospital. And you can imagine, a lot of these abandoned buildings have smashed out windows and everything. There's glass everywhere. Every time you take a step, you got this crunch.
Yeah.
And I was walking into this room and you could hear the crunch. And next thing you hear this female voice saying, "You broke it." And I was up half the night going, how is this possible, And it was one of them things that I need to listen back to it again and listen back to it again. I'm up half the night. I'm buzzing, and the hair is standing on the back of my neck. And then I says, I need to progress a little bit further with this. Now, I wasn't new, or I was new to the new type of ITC, but I was familiar with older ITC methods because I used to stay back at school, and the headmaster must have thought I was really bad at school because I was staying back with the teacher And it was just one small thing. We had a class on energy, and he went into, we're made up of energy, but when we die, we can't fully die because energy cannot be destroyed. It can be changed, but not be destroyed. And I waited until everybody left the class after the class had finished, and I was saying, so, then I started getting into the conversation about ghosts and that. And he says, have you got a few minutes after class, and I'll show you some VHS tapes that I have of a guy that communicates through a radio. And I says, is that right? And I says, yeah, I'll drop into the science lab after school and that. And he had VHS tapes of a guy called Marcello Bacci from Italy, who used to communicate through a big, massive wooden radio. Yeah. And what we decided, I ended up in big conversation. The problem was all this footage was all in Italian.
Yeah.
And the science teacher didn't know Italian. So we had to get a dictionary, and we had to decipher everything. Try to make out ourselves. And what we tried to do is we tried to, as much as possible, replicate what he was doing. And at home, I was buzzing at this concept that we can talk to ghosts. So I thought, I'm going to make a ghost radio. The word spirit box wasn't, we didn't say spirit box. I'm going to make a ghost radio, but I'm going to bring it to school, and I'm going to tell everybody it's an amplifier. So I got an old turn radio from a car radio, connected it up with a 12-volt supply, put a nice little speaker in there, made a lovely wooden box, and it had letterette, and covered around it. And that. It looked like a real little amplifier and that. Yeah. And I brought it in, and my teacher says, "What's the microphone for?" Well, if spirits can talk to us electronically through that device, this will give us an option of speaking to the spirits electronically. And he says, how did you manage to make an amplifier out of a radio? I says, well, I just connected one of the wires to a speaker, and then I just got the other wire, and I just started dotting it around all these resistors and going, hello, 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 hello. And one of them, I spoke into the speaker, and it came out the other end. And that radio was in my home house somewhere. But the thing about these radios was, radio voices would spoil our evidence. So we had to cut out coils, cut out everything. And that's what we done back then. But now, using those multiple frequencies, those multiple scans.
Yep.
Even the other night, this investigation we done, I think it's one of the best communications we've ever got.
I thought it were amazing, Sam. It would just, the responses you were getting to some of the questions, and balls were flashing, you had responses from them. But like you said, that last set that you did, it's all fantastic to watch, because again, Sam, that footage, you was out over different periods of nights, weren't you, on that last one that you've done? It
may have been a bit too long, but this is real life. This is investigating, you are going to have boring times and that. But the second night when Rachael was there, I have the equipment, but when it comes to REM pods and flashy bulbs or EMF detectors and that, once Rachael opens her mouth, that's when this stuff starts going off. And then I ask questions and nothing happens, Do you know,
he does that sometimes with us, though. We have that same response with them, Sam. Honestly, it's yeah.
I had this REM pod, and I had this REM pod for about a year, and I used to bring in an investigation and I was just drop it on the floor. I said, "This is not going to work, but I'll just stick it out anyway."
Yeah.
And nothing happened. There was absolutely, can you touch this? And, the same usual questions, and nothing happened. The first night that Rachael joined me, I just went, I've had that for over a year and it hasn't worked,
And then Rachael comes and that's it. But I think Rachel's quite sensitive, because when I've watched Rachael with you on a couple of investigations that Rachel's been out with, Rachael does seem to pick she gets the feelings. And she like, I don't know whether she's sensitive to it or whether she knows she's sensitive to it, or do you know if there's anything that. But also Rachel's such a big personality as well, do you know? So maybe it's because they're open, but then you're a quiet personality and you still get that interaction. Do you know what I mean, Sam? So I just find it so fascinating on how they respond, how the energies respond to different people at different times.
Well, with Rachael is a lot different than a lot of us, because we sit here watching other people's stuff.
Yes.
Rachael, I don't even think seen the last investigation. She loves going out, she loves doing it, but she doesn't like watching it back.
She's not bothered about watching it back now.
The experience there and then.
So Rachael hasn't been tarnished by watching other people, and like you say, I think, and that's what you find with a lot of people, isn't it? Because we've, like you said, we've watched these people Meryl,
out there. Sorry, Meryl, there's 2 links I put up, one for Life Afterlife TV Productions and one for Foyle Paranormal.
Yeah, because Rachael is Foyle Paranormal, isn't she, Sam?
Well, I run the two.
You run the both, and Rachael posts her stuff on Foyle.
I try to see what, her videos, her doing something on her own. Yeah. But I actually manage. I do all the
I know, they both, everything, Do you know, you've got a right job then, haven't you? Because one thing that what everybody needs to realise with Sam is how me and John, we go live on an investigation, so you see everything with us in the moment. Me and John will only look back at that evidence if somebody says we've seen this or that's been caught, because we're more ghost hunting is what we call it. Sam is a paranormal investigator. And
Sam will spend a lot of time researching places and looking into everything in it. He'll spend nights and nights gathering evidence, going back through everything that is
everything that's caught and everything.
All bits of video and all bits of audio. Sam will go through it all and then put it together in a video, edit it together and put it on.
And
Usually I put the cart before the horse. Usually the video goes down before the investigation. I go out, I get the evidence, I put it out as raw as I can, and then I review the whole thing. And it could take me over a week.
Yeah.
And I may or may not make a big song and dance about evidence I catch. So, I could have put a big fancy name on the last investigation and put a big scary thumbnail and put a
demonic presence.
Or a big bubble coming from the spirit box saying whatever it called me. But no, sometimes it takes about a week, and then if you go to like Sharon Rectory, we had two investigations. You investigate first night and you review the evidence over a week, and sometimes you might have multiple cameras, and then you go to do it the second time, and then you have to compare the evidence is there any comparisons between that investigation and the first one? So that is the investigation. It's, you know, Pin and Sula, the team I sometimes work with, they even go further than that, because they usually have more locked off cameras than I have, and each one of those may be running for 4 hours or 5 hours each.
That's proper footage.
Yeah, they have a team of people, and they're a kind of a family team. So each one will have a camera and review all that. But you know, it takes a long, long time.
Scotty's got one for you. A title: "Attacked by a Demon" on camera. That's a title for you, Sam. He's joking.
Yeah, that's the thing about YouTube. You know, I watch a lot of content on YouTube, and 90% of it is nonsense.
Clickbait.
It's entertainment clickbait, and that's the only way of getting high up on YouTube. Yeah, it's frustrating because they.
Yeah, I mean,
it is frustrating.
We try and rename the places if we can. Sometimes, you know, like Fear Factory and things like that. But we do that not to put a clickbait title in. We're trying to protect the locations. Do you know what I mean? So we're not typing name at location, so hundreds of people don't turn up and wreck it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've had to do as well. Because
I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah, we've had three locations burnt to the ground in the last year.
I remember talking
to the hospital, weren't it? You went back to when it had all burnt down and got all Irish fencing around it. Yeah, there's a new team in town, and one of them knew the local newspaper, and there was a big spread about them in the newspaper. These are going to go out and do investigations, and big hullabaloo and all the rest of it. Yeah. And the first investigation, I think it was the first investigation they ever done, they screwed up on it. They showed exactly on camera how they got in, and within a couple of nights, the place had burnt down. A 1911 hospital.
Yeah. You know, it's shocking, isn't it? It's awful. Yeah.
Well, they did put up their hand and say we feel partly responsible. And you know, it's a learning process. I made mistakes like that myself. You know, so
like you said, I think sometimes it's good, but I mean, again, like you said, trying to keep the title, the titles simple. I think, a bit like you said, Sam, if it's for views, then they've got to have these big, real clickbaity titles, because otherwise,
the ones I can't understand is the lives, when they set a live up and they put
being scratched by a
demon before they've gone live.
I got onto a couple of people about that, things like that, and it normally doesn't end well.
No.
Do you know? It doesn't. I end up, I just say nothing at all now. I just do my own thing.
Yeah.
You know?
So, Sam, with ITC, just changing it up a bit, but with the ITC side of things, so you started off with a spirit box, a ghost box, as you called it. What was your second piece of equipment that you would have gone towards after you'd tried that one? Or did you just stick with the ghost box just for so long? Or
well, I had this radio in my room for ages, and my mother every time she used to hear me listening to static, she says, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm listening for a ghost." And she said, "You're mad in the head." She says, "You're losing your flipping marbles." And she said, this is when I was a teenager, and when I was younger, one day she says, "Why is there a lump of coal?" I'm a very deep thinker. Do you know? I didn't do well at school, but I could think up of things. They used to call me MacGyver at school.
Yeah.
Do you know? And when I was a kid, my mother says, "Why is there a lump of coal under the leg of your bed? Why the hell have you a lump of coal under the leg of your bed?"
Well, I was told in school that compressed coal makes diamonds, so I put it on
to make it my own.
My mother says you're a big fucking idiot, Jesus. It takes thousands of years.
Oh dear, Sam. I'm going to put some coal under my bed.
I don't think Sam's actually selling equipment. It's just something about equipment is made.
Equipment is made, yeah.
Unless are you selling equipment, Sam?
I don't make an awful lot of.
For look.
I don't make an awful lot of equipment. I'm actually a bit lazy that way. But I used to. I used to dabble in electronics and that.
Yeah.
But I have the knowledge to know that a lot of the equipment that's used now is used in other things. So I wouldn't go to a ghost hunting excuse me, forest. I would go, you know, voice recorders. You get a load of voice recorders in, you know, audio equipment in sections on eBay and stuff like that. EMF detectors used by electricians. You get great EMF detectors there.
You can.
You know, some of these companies are in for a big profit, and they're buying off these other sellers. You know, so
anything paranormal. This is one for Sam.
Yeah,
this is yours, Sam.
This is the one you sent to. Well, you sent us and Simon. Little REM pod, brilliant bit of. Really cool. Sam makes them, don't you, Sam?
I do, and I actually done a video teaching people how to make them.
Yeah.
And the thing was those. I'm open and honest. Those things came from China. They're door handle alarms that cost about £2.50.
Yeah.
They're £3. They're £3 something to make. An aerial light.
But like you said, somebody selling that, it cost you less than £10 to make. They'd sell that for like 30, 40 quid.
Some of them were selling them for £6.
Because it's got the word paranormal involved in it. It's like you with your vortex.
Yeah. But it's a great bit. I love this, mate. It's brilliant.
It's a handy thing to have in your pocket. I have loads of them, you know.
Yeah, because that's small enough when you're going out with your spirit box. If you were going somewhere in daytime, and like you say, you don't want to lug everything heavy about with you, that's big enough to fit into your pocket along with SB7 or something like that. So, really handy.
And a good thing to do, too, is people are, you know, all big into modifying them.
Yeah.
Why not buy a couple of them off eBay that are not modified and don't do anything with them? And when you go into an abandoned house, you can still hang them on the doors.
Yeah.
You know? And still use them as door alarms in case energy is coming towards doorways or whatever. And that, which
is really good. What's one of your favourite places then, Sam, that you've been to investigate?
It's very hard.
Is there one particular place, or have you got a few?
Thank you, Robert.
I think our favorite place, and it was because, you know, and it was the reason why we went back so much, was definitely Dunry Fort.
Yeah.
Sam, you know, I'm only interrupting you. Amy's put, if you have to look up for that, you know, for what she needs for that, what would she type in on eBay to search for it?
Door handle alarms.
There you go, Amy. Door handle alarm.
Door handle alarms. Then go try and find a site that sells antennas for radios. Try to get the shortest one you can, and LED sidelight bulbs for cars. That's what I use in these. Yeah, you know.
I'll go with that now.
Stop messing.
So go back to what you were saying, Derry.
The Dunry Fort, and the thing about Dunry Fort is we've done 6 episodes there, and 5 of them have been in the one place.
that unfortunately got burned to the ground. And I went back. I went back and I done a session there in the foundations, in the wreck of the foundations, and I was still getting communication. But the thing about Dunry Fort, it's an army camp. It's an abandoned army camp on this big hill, and I've only got around half of it because I can't at the moment reach the top of the hill.
Wow.
You know, so I've only seen some of it. I've only seen on YouTube. We still have to.
So a lot more then to go back and investigate, isn't there? So Sam, why do you find it that going back to the same place? Because
we were talking
about this other night, weren't we, when we were on phone, Sam, on about like why we have to go back to same places all the time. And I know we investigate differently to each other, but this principle's the same reason, isn't it? Why we go back.
Well, if you were into fishing and you went to a lake and caught loads of fish, would you say, no, I don't want to go back there again?
No, you'd be like, different. I'm going. Yeah, no, you'd go back, wouldn't you?
It's the battle between being a YouTuber and being a paranormal investigator. Do you want to entertain your public, or do you want to give them evidence?
Yeah.
And going back to where we've got evidence before.
Yeah. I mean, like, I understand some people want to be YouTubers that are paranormal investigators. But sometimes going to the same place in a very, very short, a couple of nights after the first time you investigated, might give you different results than you wait a couple of weeks,
Yeah. I think we did it once last year with General Cemetery last year. I think we did 2 nights on trot there. First night, you got a little bit. The second night, we had more activity than the first night. And then we left it, and I think it was about a week, 2 weeks later, and we actually went back again. And again, it were completely different. We were getting bits in places where we'd not had anything come through before. But it was as though they were getting to know us. Like the energies start getting to build that trust up with you, kind of thing. That's how I look at it as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, with our last investigation, we tend to go back, even though I'm not a person that gets scared very easy. And when I see other people being scared, I would say, just grow a set and stop being a drama queen and that. But we had inner shakes.
Yes.
And Rachael had the camera, and I didn't notice until afterwards. I didn't cop on until afterwards. But Rachael was shaking the camera while I was doing this Spirit Box session. I didn't know that because she was being affected, she was not fully in control of the camera. And earlier in the investigation, she panned around the beach and she was fine. You know? So, and that particular investigation, I'm not putting myself down or anything but I was doing the investigation. I'm a bit on the tubby side.
So were we.
And I was called a fat C
word. Yeah. You've had that. Well, you've had similar come through, yes. But when it's directly aimed at you and it happens, it's like,
that's a massive amount of information there. It means the communicators can possibly see you.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that possibly when you turned on your communication devices, that it was like a radio. The communication was like being picking up a radio station. That the spirits may not be around us and that, but that last investigation kind of put a little bit of a twist in it there. Because and I think and I was actually upset about it because it sounded like the same voice says to me, why are you here? You shouldn't have. And I didn't respond to that because I didn't hear it. And I went and started asking more questions, I think. But it sounded like I was ignoring the communication. And that's when possibly the communicator just went, well, flip you, and called me a fat. You know, and that was a wake-up call for me, because, you know, it's very, very hard to sometimes hear things in the moment.
It is.
It's very difficult.
See, that's why when we're live, when we're asking everybody to like put what they see, what they hear, even though people will hear different things coming through different at the same time. Somebody could hear one thing and somebody could hear something completely different. But we're looking again for what's relevant to what we've asked, and when people are picking things up, when we do look back and we do the history part, that's when we can like add it all up together and everything else. But yeah, it's difficult when you're doing it on your own, because you can't hear things sometimes in that moment. It's when you're listening back afterwards, that's when you hear it and you think, oh my God, why didn't I communicate? Why didn't I hear it? Do you know, it's
have you ever been to St. Michael's in Omagh?
Omead. Omead is near a friend of mine. His name is Philip, and he's used to be called Paranormal Tech. He's called Ghost Stories now, and I think he was around that area. He's very good with castles. Yeah, he's very good with castles. We had planned to go and visit them this year, but you know, because of the COVID-19, we couldn't go over there. So
yeah.
It could happen next year, because there's some really, really nice places there. Like, and
well, we're looking to come out, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think it'll be next year now anyway, especially with COVID as it is. It's some places they're getting it back up, some places they're all right, and so I think it'll be next year. But we're going to book to come across to Ireland next year and have a week in Ireland. So we'll look for some close to where you are, Sam, and then we can go driving round and do some locations, if that's all right with you and Rach.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're only we're not long into it, actually. We've so much to explore so far. We've only hit the beginning of this. There's lots of castles. We need to go a little bit further afield at times. Yeah, possibly we need to, do overnight stays in hotels to get to places. Yeah. But health and COVID-19 is sort of
COVID-19.
COVID-19. I say that to please YouTube, because YouTube kind of, they can be funny with.
Yeah.
They can be funny with things, with certain words and stuff.
Well, James is from Warren Point, County Down.
I've heard of it, yes. Yeah. I haven't been in the area very, very much. Our circle of investigations has been within a 30-40 mile radius of our house, basically, at the moment. So
it's just been difficult, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, up along our coastline here, you've got the Giant's Causeway. You've got loads of forts and castles, and some really beautiful places. And to be honest with you, even going to these places and filming them and that, in the long term, gets me better views on YouTube, because I got mixed content in that.
Yes.
The paranormal doesn't seem to do as well as general content, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even at that, but we're looking forward to finding things. See, the thing is, our strategy up until now was to drive around and find abandoned places. But the last investigation, we decided, why don't we go to the least likely haunted, with no paranormal hotspots. There's the story about one haunting on this island. So we decided we do a paranormal investigation on a beach. And it just happened. We done that.
Amazing.
And we says, people arrived and says, right, we're going to call this, guys. And we were about 300 or 400 yards up the road, and we seen this entrance to a little bit of a forest. I says, why don't we go and have a look up here and see, would it be worth to visit the next time we come down here? And I says, but just in case, I'll put a spurt box in my pocket. So all we had was a camera and a spurt box. And we were just blown away. And I don't know whether the energy is contained in the rock, but once we stepped off that rock, we were fine. But the camera can tell you so much, but not your personal experience. Yeah. The way we were feeling, the way I was feeling sick, the shivers. There was a little bit of
that's it. You can't do it, can you? Yeah. I'm just going to answer Sherry. Do you believe spirits respond differently to different people and may not communicate with me?
But would with you.
And why would this happen? I think sometimes, it could be that
for me it'd be like
somebody's not ready.
And they're not ready, or the energy of the person. I think it depends. It's like trust, isn't it? It's like if you see somebody walking in the street, there's certain people you talk to, and there's other people that you wouldn't.
Everybody.
You talk to everybody. Yeah. With me, there's certain people I would talk to, and there's certain people, if I saw them walking down the street, I might not talk to.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's probably the same as that.
What do you think, Sam?
Well, I think, doing a lot of spurt box sessions and stuff like that, I asked questions and got answers to those questions before I've asked the question. So I think the energies that are around us, there's a lot of mysteries and theories around it, but I think in some ways they can actually read what we are actually thinking. Are we producing energy while we are thinking? And can they tap into that energy? So if you had a bad energy, maybe spirits may not want to contact you. Or if you're easily frightened or whatever, certain energies may not want to communicate with you.
Yeah.
But then again, you possibly have energies that cannot speak through ITC. They can just knock on, make poltergeist activity noises like knocking on doors and tapping on walls. We thought it was
on a different frequency.
Yeah, we thought it was the most haunted thing until we went to Sharon Rectory, and Rachel started tapping on the walls down in the cellar and was getting tapping back. And I was saying, let's go one further. Can you throw something? Seeing as Most Haunted used to say that too. And I was saying, can you throw something? Just not that chair over there. And then everybody burst out laughing. And then you could hear, when we stopped laughing, there was another giggle.
Wow.
Yeah. So sometimes, what we do, we joke about. And what has brought us out to be ourselves is we stopped carrying around big, massive cameras and just started filming with nothing more than just this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's so small, you kind of forget that it's there.
Yeah.
So
do you have them on your body as well then, Sam? Do you have cams on your body as well as you're filming, or does it just depend on where you are?
No, what we do, I started off, I tried by putting it onto a cap.
Yeah.
But you only have a certain amount of view when it's on your head. You know what I mean? I had to take the cap off and turn it around. I made up a rig for it. So I have this rig.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's got a load of IR lights along the sides here, which are brilliant. But we got these little lightweight IR lights.
Yeah. I remember us talking about them, Sam.
Yeah, and then I put a little light here as well. You see, this is plastic, and lately, with what I have, the illnesses that I have, carrying around a camera, a heavy camcorder, we have the old-fashioned camcorders. It was hurting me after a little while. After about 20 minutes, it used to strain my arms and that. So we
went for something that was light, and these are pretty light. But Sony is a great night vision camera, but this rivals it. I don't know what it is. And it's not the green, it's the grey scale. It's really, really clear and that, and because it's light and handy, we love them, you know.
Yeah, I've seen your videos, and I think picture quality of them is really, really good.
It is for what they are, you know. They're just a security guard's body camera, you know.
Yeah, but they are quality's good, isn't it, that you get off it. So how many places then, Sam, did you just do in the video that you've put up? How many different places did you shoot? Did you shoot videos from?
In the last investigation.
Yeah, in the one you've just in the YouTube video you've just put up.
Yeah, well, I started off. It was done over 2 nights, just. You know, we were going to put another night to it, but it was. I had squeezed it down to as much as I could, and it was still nearly 3 hours. So I said, you know, let's just leave it at that. And when we do the next one, we'll go back up to the rock, and we will remind people what happened on the rock the last time.
Yeah.
But I was trying my best the first night, and all I could manage was to walk along a shore walk along the car park. There was a little shore walk off this car park. And the reason why I picked this car park is because there was a place to sit down, and it was near the car, do you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, basically it was just a spurt box session and just to walk around with the night vision camera calling out without any equipment at all. So I thought maybe I'll leave it in it just in case there is something in that.
Yeah.
And document the journey of that. And I didn't think I was going to get anything more done. And then I decided, you know, we need to do an investigation. We'll try our best to get one done, even though I'm really sick.
Yeah.
So we decided we'd go to this beach, and we didn't have far to bring the equipment, so we were okay that way. And then, you know, that second night, that last bit, which we went up this hill through the forest, and because night vision needs the light to bounce off things, because there's loads of trees, the visuals were really class. I yet have to go through the visuals and that, but the spurt box session up on the top of that, it just blew our minds. And just the feelings you can't document that on camera. And we're learning to be more open about it, how we're feeling. It's just as important to document that as well.
It is, you know? Because we've
tried to start doing that a little bit more in some investigations, relying more on his feelings and, like you said, knocking on things or going quiet and see if you can hear things, rather than just keep relying on spirit boxes and apps and
so we're doing like a mixture of two.
We're trying to do a mixture now.
But going back to feelings, I mean, when John were in Munwell Woods the other night on his own, I mean, I've never seen John scared, or I want to say scared because scared's not the word, uncomfortable. But I've never seen him as uncomfortable as what I saw him in there. And I knew it straight off because obviously, because I know him that well, I can tell with that change of demeanour and different things that he did and didn't do. But again, nobody could feel what he was feeling. But he didn't run about. He didn't run around like a loon and start shouting, "There's something watching me. There's evil." Do you know what I mean? He just got on with what he was doing, even though he were uncomfortable. And then he sort of like moved out of area. But nobody would have known on camera until we went into members area, and then you said that just got me, that one. But nobody would have known on camera that it got the heebie-jeebies, if you know what I mean.
I just felt like wherever I were, there was something behind me. And at one point, I actually moved camera from where I were and moved it so I could actually see what
that big crack.
After a big crack, I heard like a stick breaking behind me, as if somebody had threw on me. And I moved it, and then as soon as I moved it, it felt like it was behind me again, and it just seemed wherever I moved, I just felt like I was being watched.
Because people can't see that.
No,
they don't get that feeling, if you know what I mean.
And I don't know if
it's very hard.
I mean, it could have just been the fact that it made me jump when that stick cracked, and then your mind might start playing tricks on you. Then it could just be that, and you get it in your head that I'm being watched or something. So then it puts you on edge, and then you seem to. I don't know.
But you don't need to listen back to the girls giggling.
Yeah, it was good too that you documented that you smelled gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's people automatically jump on the demon wagon when they smell sulfur.
Yeah, John.
It's not proved by science that is a Desmond.
No. Well, like a Desmond, I know. I put it down to it being because of where we were, Sam. We were in woods and everything. So I put it down to it would have been more. It got too close to elemental side because I'm a big believer in elemental side. And to me, I think he just got too close to some of them.
Lindsay said she was speaking to Andy.
That they give like bad smells off, and a lot of people will mistake them for or say it's demonic because it's like the sulfur smell and it's devil related and things like that. But because we don't do that, because we don't go down that negative path, I said no. I think it's elemental side. Whether that's just for my own peace of mind, but that's So, what would you think it were, Sam?
A ghost fart.
It could well have been.
Love it. So next time we get a bad smell, we just have to say it's a ghost fart.
Yeah. It's very, very difficult, but I've had it once, and it was in a place called the Cooney Ghost House, and it happened in a room where the roof had been blown off by a storm. And that gas, that sulfur smell hung around in there the whole time I was in there. Yeah. And it actually made me physically sick. I don't know what it is. That place had a reputation for having a demonic spurs in it because the priests were heavily involved in trying to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
But that's not proved by science, so
No. It's that personal experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, very often we can say, well, that was a demonic entity. Why is it a demonic entity? Because I heard somebody else saying it was. So, you got this domino effect where somebody says something and everybody else jumps on the bandwagon. But at the end of the day, most of this has not been proved by science. Unless it is proved by science, we don't have concrete. All we do know is that, we do have communicators and something responding to us. Through ITC and through knocking on walls and doors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then people need to be aware too, if you're going into an abandoned building, and, because it's abandoned, that's where rodents are going to go, pigeons and stuff like that. Yeah. That's where...
I've been dead by a few pigeons.
That's where terminal comes in pretty handy.
Yeah.
It's just as good a debunking device as looking for the saves.
We need to upgrade our thermal camera because it was okay to start with, but to use it more like I want to, we need to upgrade to a better thermal camera than what we've got. Because our thermal camera will probably pick somebody up at Enderacity.
About 10 foot away.
About 10
and like
foot.
we were talking about that, it is quite pixelated. We can see pixels on it, so it's not the greatest, but...
No, but I'm going to look at them, what you suggested, Sam. And
the companies that are doing this for a long time, and Flare have been involved in the US military and stuff. I bought a Seek because it's a good brand as well, but it's a little bit cheaper than Flare. And then you have Fluke, and it's really expensive. But if you want images as good as Ghost Adventures, 25,000 quid.
Yeah, we were looking, weren't we, Sam, when we were on phone the other day? John said he'd found one second hand.
25,000.
No, I think it went to about 15.
I can't remember.
About 15 grand. He said he saw one from. Day when John came round to mine, I thought I had a demon in toilet, but John went in before me. Oh dear!
I did warn you to leave it 10 minutes.
So when it comes to equipment, then Sam, what equipment would I mean? We can't say any is 100%, but what would your tools be when you were doing an investigation? What kind of tools do you like to have?
What's your favourite?
What's the ones with you? So I would say IR camera now. You've got your new one.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing to have is good picture and good audio. That is the most important thing. All these other things, like REM pods and static bears and stuff like that, they're tools.
Yeah.
They don't prove that they can prove that they can communicate through them.
Yeah.
But they're not without their flaws either. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I'm not going to be the one to say.
Oh, no, I know you're not, Sam, and I know you wouldn't diss anybody using anything either. You know, this is just.
But yeah, there is other people that say, you know, these devices are stupid and all the rest of it. What we want voices on camera. We want an apparition. We want this. We want that.
Yeah,
that's okay as well. If you want to go down that route. Some of these people too may use old methods like powder and bubbles and all sorts of stuff, which is good. It's thinking outside the box, you know, wind chimes, bells, stuff like that. But you know, EMF, you know, if you're on top of a mountain and there's no telegraph poles and you don't have your phone with you and you're starting to get. You're starting to get responses to your questions through EMF spikes. You know, it can't be discounted, but the problem is it can't be 100% proved either. But it's very interesting at the same time because it's responding. If you ask it to, you know, go off 3 or 4 times, whatever number you pick, and it goes off 3. If it does that a couple of times, then you're talking about something there. But first of all, your camera. If you don't have a camera, your phone will do.
Yeah.
You know, the best camera to have is the one that you have.
Yeah.
The one you can get your hands on. You know, that and audio. And even if you don't have a little recorder, EVPs can be picked up on cameras audio as well.
Yeah,
you can. Somebody was saying, I forgot where I was talking to, because it was a couple of months back, and they were saying, to be honest, your phone can be used as an EVP recorder because you can record things from your phone. You know, when you go to a certain setting, you can actually set your phone to record as an EVP. So if somebody was struggling, who couldn't afford equipment, but they've got the phone handy, they could always use the phone recorder till they got one.
What do you think, Sam, is the best file format to have EVPs in?
Definitely as raw as possible, not MP3. There's a lot of recorders out now that don't record in anything else, only MP3. But MP3 is a file format that compresses. Yeah. And how it compresses is it gets rid of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
The low frequencies that your ear normally wouldn't hear. That's where your responses might be. So that's not to say you won't get EVPs that way, but the I can't remember what you call it, but the raw recording is much better.
What is it? WAV? 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 Is it WAV?
Wave format, wave format. I had a brain fart there. Yeah, wave format.
Every time. Sulfur, does it?
That's there's this tension between investigators too about new good quality, Tascams and Zooms, versus the old very low bit recorder method. The low bit recorder method, it can be full of flaws, but the theory behind it is when you record on it, and when you're recording on a low bit, you've got this warbles, and it doesn't record completely straight.
Yeah.
Sometimes it warps your voice and stuff like that, but that creates frequencies possibly the Spurs can use. But the problem is when you have that warped low bit, a shuffle of a coat or a jacket can sound like a voice. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know,
I know. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube where they've debunked that, showing them on different. They shuffled the feet, and then when they played it back, it sounds like it's saying demon or something like that. You know what I mean? So.
There's a ITC researcher called Annabella Cardoso, and her method, instead of having the internal noise of a low bit recorder, like the Panasonic DR60 have that warbly noise and stuff like that, have a good recorder, any recorder, and put on ambient noise in the room, like static or birds and. Do you know the guy that makes the Necrophonic?
Yeah.
He done a video one time, and I know about this method already, but he actually done a video on it. Do you know them sleep therapy machines that have the different noises?
Yeah.
Have one of those as your spirit box, and put your recorder on, and you won't get most likely you may not get direct responses from this actual device. But it's called background audio support for your EVPs.
Oh.
You may hear it coming back. That's why, I like to put on a bit of static when I'm doing EVPs.
Yeah.
And
never thought of doing that.
You can download some ambient noise. I just like having a device. So
I don't know if you use one, but have you? Or you have used one. But what do you think to the old dictaphones? The ones with the tapes in. Do you think they're better?
The theory is that they can be better because it's a physical magnetic tape.
Yeah.
And somebody, was talking about recording methods and was saying, I would love to go to investigation and get one of those tapes and roll them out in a location.
Yeah.
Similar to what happened in the scroll experiment. And then after the investigation, roll that tape up and play it back to see that anything imprinted itself on it.
Yeah. So I want to try it with ours. We've got.
I mean, Sam's amazing. I think he's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And there's something. I mean, can you remember? I don't know if you remember you. I can't remember what I heard you talking about. You're on a live, but you were saying about the Ouija board you're on about doing. You're on about doing it in a tray, if you remember, with water.
Yeah, so I'm not a great fan of the Ouija board. But
if you have it floating and nobody touches it, you know what I mean? And then it spells stuff out. That's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a brilliant idea, that.
It's like a trigger object.
Yeah, Dr. Villains put Huffy's getting called out for faking his box noises.
Oh, don't start him off with.
That's why I've just said it. But yeah, I think that one world. I mean, you've come out with some really good stuff, Sam, on different things, different ways of catching evidence, and using different types of methods. I mean, especially when I've listened to you before, when you've been on Andy's live, and you've also been on Brett's lives and stuff, and you've had them conversations, like different things on how to do experiments in a different way to get the same response. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's been really interesting.
Sorry, Moody, I didn't mean to put that one up.
Like, I me using a Faraday pouch around a spirit box is me trying to take out as much radio as possible, bit by bit.
Yeah.
And, using the biscuit tin, Simon, it picked up on the idea with the biscuit tin and putting the little hole in, and, you put your wire to the biscuit tin is great for controlling, a noisy box and excess signal and that. And Ghost Adventures actually use a PSP-7 with the coil and the antenna ripped out of it.
Yeah.
So no radio.
Well, I did at one point. I took the aerial out of our PSP-7 because it's only like 4 screws, and then you just unscrew aerial, it slides straight out.
Yeah, that's what we originally done with the old radios that we were working with, but we were using a noise generator as well. And we were using reel-to-reel, and we were using a big Faraday pouch. And the science teacher knew all about the maths and the frequencies and the ohms and stuff like that. That was just, that was a way over my head. Yeah. I just wanted to get results, and we did get some. And the thing about that method that we were using, we ripped valves out of radios. Technically, we shouldn't have got voices coming through those radios. Yeah, we did. But it took a long time. It took a long time listening to nothing but static.
And for it to come through. Yeah.
And because I was a teenager, I ended up getting bored, and I left the field for a long, long time. And I came back. When I came back, Frank Sumption had invented this scanning radio method, and I've been messing around with that since,
Yeah.
So,
but no, I mean, I think it's good. Just goes to the door.
That's what she's been mental at.
Numpties. Gathering, are the ghost tracking apps for cell phones any good, Sam? I'd say no more entertainment, I think.
Some of these apps are made by paranormal investigators, but some apps are made for entertainment purposes. And I've seen investigators on TV shows using the Ghost Radar app, but this little dot that comes up on the radar, how do you know? What's the difference between that energy and the energy from Wi-Fi from somebody's house?
Yeah.
I don't think that technology is just quite there yet, and I think it's just entertainment.
I mean, going back, I mean, that spirit box you built, the mule scan where you put the servo in it, that were brilliant as well, that Sam.
Yeah, it's a bit of it's like having an old car. Every so often you have to get a screwdriver out and muck about with it because it's just constantly playing up. But the idea is there. Yeah. I kind of got the idea from Paranologies. They have these little radios, and I ordered one of them boxes, and I never got it.
Didn't they send it yet?
No. I was actually looking forward to it too, because it's a different way of scanning. It works around a kind of a static energy. A static energy interference will stop it scanning and send it the other way, sort of thing. So it's a random scan rather than it scans from one frequency to another usually. This is a more sort of a random scan, and I was looking forward to that, but it never showed up.
Wow.
I'm not a very
Sam,
happy
where's
person.
the most active place you've ever been?
Most active place.
John Rectory?
It's Sharon Rectory is one of those. That, and because we're not huge in, we haven't been doing this for years, more ITC than anything else. There was about 10 or 15 of us down in the cellar, and that was all of us.
Yeah,
and it was seen on camera. Now, the reason why I had to go sort of look more into night vision is because the team I worked with liked to work in the dark, and my camera wasn't up for it at the night, but you could hear this man's voice up the stairs, and the voice of fear that you could hear, that's a man's voice, that actually was one of the owners of the house. Yeah. And she was terrified, and that was not put on. I know that was not put on.
Yeah.
And we were down there, and there was footsteps going across the you could hear the footsteps upstairs and stuff, and
wow.
this man's voice, and
do you know? I think again, I doubt myself, because I think I hear a footstep, and then I'll be like, and I'll just wipe it off straight off, and I'll sometimes I don't say it when we're live, because I think I'm 100% sure. Do you know what I mean? When really I think I should log it, just in case anybody else hears what I'm hearing. What is better, an analog radio or digital radio for ghost boxes, Sam? What's your opinion on that one?
I don't know, because sometimes I use a manual sweep radio, and it can work just as well. These hacked radios are originally ordinary radios, and there's just, in most cases, one wire cut on it, and all of a sudden it's a spirit box, and it's sold for £50 or £60, when you could have bought the ordinary radio for £15 or £20.
Yeah.
But some of if you have a radio at home, if you cannot afford to get a spirit box, get a little radio with the tuner on the side. And more so if you can get one of those white tuners that just keeps going around, it doesn't go to the end, so you don't have to go back the ways again. And you can get results that way. Yeah. You will give your fingers a workout, but you will get results with them for sure.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing as scanning.
It's just that your other ones, it controls your scan rate, doesn't it? So it's constant.
Yeah.
Rather than you having to. Because not my problem, but I think I've never tried one. But I've got this feeling that if I were going through and I started hearing a voice, I might pause. Do you know what I mean? I might stop for a second, which.
Yeah, you sort of have to get sort of used to it. And, I have what we call the bone in the wall box.
Yeah.
That Andrew has. And it's a very difficult box, because the frequencies are so close together. You can scan the whole radio in half a turn of this dial. So you have to move it ever so slowly. And, as much as entertainment he is, he's very good with a spirit box. He really is.
Well, it's same as, I mean, it is someone. I mean, we've said it before. If you listen to that video, I mean, when that bone in the wall come out,
I mean, it did actually
say on the spirit box coming through a bone in the wall.
Yeah,
or something. But then, because of what they did, that then just took it turned the value of it to the entertainment value of it, unfortunately. Whereas though that would have been a good EVP that come through.
Yeah, I've seen sessions I've seen sessions with.
Oh no, I think everybody everybody works their own style, whether it's a bit of entertainment thrown in. Again, they do it for what suits them. Do you know what I mean? So it's just how people work. I was going to say though, so we've got upstairs a video. Oh, sorry.
Somewhere in the middle.
Go on, Sam. Sorry, I apologise.
It's all right. That particular radio cost £10. I don't know if we can get it in the UK. I know we can get it in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't think you can get it in the south of Ireland, but it was £10 in Tesco's, and that's it does work, but it's a difficult box because you have to be really, really slow.
Yeah.
But you people like Mark Smith that bought who sold all his equipment because he wanted to buy a car and stuff like that, and he had the 12-587. He should have flipping kept it. Yeah. But he went and he bought a Tesco radio. It will work. Yeah. It will work. If you do not have anything else, it will work. Yeah. It's a little bit harder work, and it's
knowing how to, like you said, treat it like that violin, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you have to
heavy fingered. Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with it because you might have to be doing it for a bit of a while,
I have seen a video, I think it were Infrared did, and they were showing you these small, it looks like a little amp, but it's got a radio built into it. And they said, we aren't doing any modifications to that. You can actually use that as a spirit box, but you have to keep your finger on the scan button. If you want it to press it and it scan, you have to take it up and cut a wire or solder something. Yeah. But if you just want to use it straight out of box, if you just keep your finger on scan button, it'll just continuously keep scanning. Yeah. I think they're about £5 off eBay, them ones.
Yeah, I have a Bofang GT3 ham radio, and there is an FM radio on it, and you keep your finger on the button. I just put a little bit of plastic and I put it on the side of the little switch and to hold it down and that. But you have to amp up the sound with a proper amplifier, not an ordinary little speaker and that.
Yeah.
It works. It works. It's not brilliant, but it works.
That's all right. Yeah.
I'll just answer this and I want to go back to something, Sam. What's the best device to avoid X-ray? Right, for me, one I've got basically a 12-volt computer fan, and then I've got it connected to a 9-volt battery, one of them packs with on-off switch. On top of the fan in the middle, I've bent a little piece of metal so it sits flat on the fan and then goes up at like a 45-degree angle. And then I've just got a little hand mirror, about an inch size, and glued that onto the metal. So the mirror spins, and then you just got a laser pen aimed straight at it, and as it spins, it just creates that vortex. It was just Derek Raskin, that were all.
Have you tried a mirror that's badly scratched up? Would that cause more lights to come off? More lasers to come off it? Because I have shown lasers through quartz crystals and bits and pieces like that, and and mirrors. And
I might actually try a crystal rather than a mirror. That might be interesting.
Yeah, I have a piece of a chandelier, and it's like a diamond. Yeah. And when you shine the laser through it, it comes out in a couple of different directions. So
refraction.
Yeah. Well, what I want to go back to is we're on about spirit boxes with speakers. I tried that, what you said, with S-Box, where you put them little speakers on. It does quieten it down, but I did actually email Ghost Stop. Is it Ghost Stop, Sam?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I had a conversation with them over email, and they told me I got the latest firmware that was available. And when I asked them about this noise at end, I don't think they quite understood me, because it's like a loud burst for a second, and then they're saying it's because there's more radio frequencies at the higher end, and if they quieten that, you're going to lose evidence. But I don't think it is. I don't think it is anything to do with the radio frequencies that are on there. I think it's a design fault on it.
Yeah, but the thing is, there is other people out there that have the S-Box and they don't have the same problem we have.
No. Maybe they've got an older firmware on it, or no.
You know, they did promise updates and stuff like that. I haven't checked in the last couple of months, but the last time I checked, they didn't do updates. I was a year waiting for an update, hoping that would fix it, but no. You know, they sent it out to market way too early. I think.
Well,
you know,
I've never updated my S-Box. I don't know how long I've had it, but I've never updated it, and apparently I've got the latest firmware. So since I bought it, there's never been updated, and I've had it a year. I would say nearly a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have to go onto the site and download it, but
yeah, but no, they've told me I've got latest one because they asked me to press a button or something, and something comes up and it gives you a number, and I put that in email, and they said I've got the latest one. So.
Yeah.
I think Crystal would look great. Yeah, I do. I think it would, Derek. Evening, everybody joining and coming in.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Sam. We've got a CD video recorder that records in night vision. Can you remember?
Yeah.
We've only got like 4 CDs.
See if I can find it.
If I recorded on that, how trustworthy could that be with it being on a CD? You know, like you would do on like a mini disc, John says.
The team I work with have a couple of those they use as locked off cameras.
Lock off cameras, yeah.
Yeah, and they're used to the system.
Right.
You know, you can put your DVD into the older fashioned laptops and computers that have the DVD drive, and you can get the files off that way. It's still, it's still doable. It's just like it's a Sony, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a load of Sonys, and all of my Yeah, I know that one of the team members has one of those actually.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I got this. I think I won this.
Sony's got mini DVD discs for it.
I think I actually won it, but it's a night. They've had it adapted, and it's night vision.
Yeah.
I think they possibly have night vision in the manual.
Do they?
I'm not quite sure, but I think so. If there's a night shot button on it, it can record an order.
I'm not sure, Sam. We've never used it. Actually, I did. I took it on one ghost hunt with me.
Yeah, it says night shot. It says night shot plus on off on top.
Yeah. Yes. I actually took it on a ghost hunt with me, and I forgot to put a disc in, and all night I'm filming, and it got to end, and I got no disc. I was gutted because they did actually pick up. We did actually pick things up, but we couldn't prove it because we'd not got camera with us.
Yeah. I have the not the newest. See, the newest run of the mill Sonys don't have night shot.
Yeah.
But, I have the older ones to have the hard drives and that, and I'm not having any problem with. Some of them are a little bit annoying. You have to have this little cradle that you have to sit the recorder on top of it, and if you knock it by accident, you could mess up your file or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a docking station. I'd rather just plug it in with a wire.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna give Mr. John 6 Cents a shout out. Johnny's going live at 10 o'clock. For those that do watch Mr. 6 Cents, you've got a 10-minute countdown. So I hope he has a good investigation. So good to Lindsay. You made a rookie mistake. We'll do it. Is the Ouija a good thing to use? To be honest, Patricia, sorry, I wouldn't personally use it just because of my belief system in it. And to me, it's just, I've always seen negative sides to it. I'm not sure whether there is a positive side to it. I don't know what Sam's feelings are on that one.
One side is it's a communications device. It's a piece of cardboard or wood with letters on it with a planchette.
there's been a lot of fears, but I think a lot of them fears stem from horror movies, which I don't watch.
Yeah,
but I'm saying there's a lot of stories going around about haunted Ouija boards. So if there is haunted Ouija boards, I've never heard of a haunted spirit box yet.
Yes,
but that might be a new thing.
Could be that could be next big thing coming out, Sam.
That might be next YouTube craze, yeah.
It could be next. You've just set off a new YouTube craze that now we've got spirit boxes.
Oh God.
Oh dear, get ready for that one coming. You just missed that one.
If it's about a spirit box and a Ouija board being the same communicator.
No, the spirit box is going to be the next thing that's going to get haunted. That's going to be new craze coming out.
Yeah. But there's people. It was invented as a game, and the thing is, there possibly is dangers because what we do, we're very serious about it.
Yeah.
You have to take this seriously. I mean, you can be affected, and if you are sick in any way, don't go investigating. That's why sometimes you won't see me investigating for a number of weeks because I'm not at my best.
Yeah.
I have been attacked. I have been attacked spiritually that affect me physically. I'm not going to say it's a demon. I don't know what it is. It was pretty negative.
Yeah.
Some sort of, and sometimes we can have our energy drained from us. How it's done, I don't know. And it can affect us. So that's why you have to be at your strongest. And if you're using an Ouija board or anything to do with connecting with the communicators, you have to be
right frame of mind is into it, because
definitely.
Yeah, I think if you've got any negativity around you and you go out and communicate or go out somewhere that is allegedly a haunted place, and then you come home and things could happen to you that might just be normal, but because you've been that negative, you'll just put it that it's a negative energy that's attached, or negative energy creates negative energy. And I think, like you say, if you're going out on an investigation, you have got to be at your best because you want to be that positive frame of mind, because like you say, I think some people can get affected, and I think it can affect the moods and everything else to go with it, because energy can affect energy, can't it? So
it's the Ouija board is not one thing that I use, so I can't talk too much about it, to be honest with you. But I did say to the team who do use a Ouija board, the only way you can get me to sit at that table is I sit there on my own and I'm blindfolded.
Yeah.
Because
everybody should be blindfolded, I think.
Yeah, we have to trust everybody on the team. But
That's
thing
what you said, haven't you?
Does the subconscious mind sometimes move that planchette?
Yeah.
We can't prove it on camera whether somebody's moving it or not.
No.
Sometimes we can see a strain in muscle where someone is putting more pressure than others on it.
Yeah.
Are they doing it? Are they doing it intentionally?
Or not?
When they ask the question, are they expecting a yes or no answer? Are they already expecting that answer and subconsciously moving it towards the letters to make out a response, or the yes or no?
That'd be a good way, though. I mean, obviously I don't do Ouija board, but I think I'd like to see somebody do Ouija board and actually be blindfolded and ask the questions. No, we're not doing it. But I think I would like to see that kind of experiment done and see whether the responses would come out. I don't know whether you could do it without first, and then with, and see whether you get them same responses coming through.
Yeah, I mean, like there's people. Yeah, there's people have been doing experiments, and you see it on the television. There's one show, Fighting Fear or something like that, where there's a guy, he does paranormal investigation, and at the end, he takes out this Hassian bag and asks the person that's having the haunted experience to put this bag over their head.
Wow.
And communicate with the spirit. Now they can actually see slightly through this Hassian bag, but their senses have been restricted.
Yeah.
And you do see sometimes people having headphones in, plugging it into a spirit box and then blindfolding them.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is, because they're being blinded, that energy that's gone into seeing is diverted to hearing. Just like somebody that has a disability, they lose the ability to do one thing, but their senses are heightened somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah.
It's similar to a person that loses their sight. Their hearing.
We got a friend that lost. Yeah, we got a friend that lost the partial sight, but the things, it affected him really bad at first, because again, it was the negative, because obviously something's just been took away from him that they've not been used to. So depression, I think, come in. But once they managed to get past that and realize that their life actually has blossomed into something else, because they're hearing things with the ears rather than just seeing it with their eyes. Now the nose is coming into place, the taste, the sounds, and you can be sat somewhere and they can hear something that we can't. And it's not that we can't hear it; it's just that our senses aren't heightened to their level. If you get what I mean, Sam. But it's really interesting how his body works, his mind, and everything.
The question there about the pyramids. Stonehenge and the pyramids, there's a lot of mystery around it.
There is.
How did they get the stones? How did they transport the stones? There's a whole big mystery around that. And where these sites are situated were just in certain times of the year where the sun goes through these passages and lights up the passages. But it only happens on the summer or winter solstice. I can't remember which. How did the ancient people figure that one out? It is it's
aliens,
little green men. I don't know.
But don't you think technology, though, going back to like pyramids and stuff, design and everything on how to build that kind of pyramid and Mayans, like it's such a fascinating. I mean, I'd love to go back. There's a place, I think, where Mayans, where you can actually go and visit where they used to live. I might be thinking of something completely different here. I watched that Baggins go and do it on his car. Most honored. And he went back to like a little this village. And obviously everything were overgrown, and that I'm sure it were a Mayans village. And that had some really strange activity coming out at night time. And I'd like to go to somewhere like that, just to see, because they had good technology.
Well, it's not that. It's in like cave art and things. There's certain things in cave art and drawings and everything that we don't understand where they came from.
The thing is, too, you have these big, massive pieces of art on the side of mountains that are a couple of miles wide. And how did they figure out that? Because they didn't have drones. They can't just say, move it a little bit to the left. You're going off track, kind of thing. The thing is, you can't see the image while you're standing on land. You can only see it in the air. But, when they were made, we didn't have air transport. So it's really, really strange, some of these mysteries that we never really got to the bottom of,
Aliens scare me. Love my family.
You forgot it's a touch screen.
I did. I forgot it's a touch screen, and I've just touched the comment. She's put alien. Aliens actually do scare me. Just even thinking about them. But then John will say, "Well, if they abduct you, they'll send you back down straight away as soon as they get you up there." But it does. I think it's because it's the unknown that scares me in that sense. Have you ever had any experiences, Sam, with UFOs and seeing things that you can't explain in sky or?
No.
No.
I haven't. It's not one thing. It's not a thing that I'm 100% interested in.
Yeah. See, we're interested, but not to go out and investigate.
I'm not. I wouldn't discount it or anything like that. No, just possibly. Yeah. The American military have already know the ins and outs of anti-gravity technology, but if that went out to the public, the oil companies would go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the oil companies have a challenge in the next 20 or so years, because the UK want to, by 2040, the UK want to ban all petroleum powered vehicles.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You know, but as far as I know, they are jumping on the bandwagon of electric, electric, cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But way back when these spaceship crash landings, these UFO crash landings and stuff, if that technology was reverse engineered, they wouldn't want the enemy to find that technology for start.
No.
The other side is the economy, where the oil companies are very, very powerful companies. It will put all of them out of business, and that's why if there is such thing as anti-gravity technology, it's kept under wraps for a reason, and it's security and keeping the oil companies afloat.
Joe's put, which begs the question, do you believe in time travel? I believe in time travel. I think, but
for me,
I don't think it's something like you sit in a machine and you go back to.
But I mean, there's them time slips, isn't there, where people have experienced. Yeah, that one.
You have to ask yourself the question: what is time?
Yeah, exactly. Who invented time?
Time. We've created time, isn't it? And it's not a. It's a recent. In history, it's a recent-ish thing, time anyway.
Well, people used to they told time by looking at sun, weren't it, and lay out at stars and moon. But I don't know whether that told them the time or just like whether it were morning, midday, afternoon, and night. Do you know what I mean? But I believe in time travel. I think time travel is possible, but I don't think it's like John says. It's not like you go back to the future in a car or somebody's made a time traveling machine. I don't think that I'm not saying that is, but I do believe that we can time travel, and I think also people can go forward in time and see events that do happen in future. But I'm not necessarily sure on how it all works.
Amy's watching us, but I think she's making REM pods. Does it matter what voltage the LED lights are for making those REM pods?
She's just watching Sam's video at the same time.
The REM pod, if you're using the door handle alarm and it's a 9-volt battery, those LED lights that I use, they're designed for 12-volt cars, but because they're LEDs, they don't use up an awful lot of energy. Yeah. So the 9-volt battery, I hadn't had any problem with them,
Well, that's still got the same battery in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're using them LED car side light things, because they're LED, they don't use up a lot of energy, so the 9-volt will still power them.
Yeah. Do you think the world is like a hologram and what we're seeing is not real and we're just energy? See, it's all interesting stuff.
Night, Elizabeth.
So a bit like when he lived in, what was that? What
Matrix?
No, well, it's Matrix, and then what was that one where he lived in a bubble? And
I thought that was just you.
No, Jim Carrey played in it. You don't know, I can't remember the name of the film. And he like lived in an air dome, but he thought it were actually real, and it weren't. He were actually still on cameras, and the real world were outside that. That were in it. That were interesting. Truman Show. That one was good. I don't know. I mean, it is funny because we do see glitches or what we think are glitches, but
I mean, when you're talking about the work that we do, we very often come up with, are we talking to a different dimension?
Yeah.
So which dimension is the reality? Yeah. Is it our dimension or the dimension that we're trying to communicate with? Who don't seem to want to give away a lot of secrets, to be honest.
No, they don't. They don't. I mean, amount of times we've asked, when we've got that communication going, and then either John or I've asked or somebody else has asked, and we've said, "What is heaven? Is heaven real?" And we've had responses, and it's come back, and some of it sometimes it said can't answer or no. And I think the belief John's got, I believe in what he says, because if people knew that there were life after death, and this place was absolutely magnificent and gorgeous, and we get to meet all loved ones that have crossed over, everybody had topped themselves to go across because of how shitty this world is. So I don't, like you said, even if it's another dimension you're talking to, and they're communicating with us or we're communicating, I don't know. It's just it's such a.
Like I said, I don't think an afterlife will ever be proved. They'll not allow it to be.
No,
proved.
They wouldn't. No, I don't think the powers that'd be would allow that. Wormholes in the universe make time travel easy, theoretically. They do, because again, a wormhole could take you straight through to another dimension.
Yeah,
watching. Go on, Sam.
We're kind of close in a way. Of being able to see energy. There was a couple of guys, and I can't remember the name of their channel, but they were kind of little amateur scientists, and they made this camera with a little a circuit board, and he connected up to a computer, and they were able to map out Wi-Fi energy from routers, and that image then mapped onto a true image, and it'll indicate where these energies were. And it's the same thing for some heat thermal imaging. Some of the cameras can relay the true image, and then the thermal image is overlaid on top of it. There is a camera on trial. It's been on trial since, I think, 2017, that can actually see energy. Wow. But it's about the size of a bus, and it's inside a laboratory. And it's got.
So I couldn't buy one then, Sam.
No, we won't be able to buy them to put around our necks anytime soon.
No.
But the technology is sort of getting there.
Wow.
When we think about paranormal equipment technology, we're going around in circles. Do you know this Flux 2 thing that seems to be a big, it's a proximity sensor with an adjustment knob on it and a temperature sensor. That's all it is.
Yeah.
EMF detectors, no matter how fancy the EMF detector is, it's an EMF detector that detects EMF.
Yeah.
Same at REM pod technology. Motion sensors, the whole lot. We've had those things for a long time, but we're regurgitating the same stuff with fancy boxes and fancy lights. That's why gadgets get a bit of a bad name. But there is scientists out there trying to see energy, and I mean, like, this thing is humongous. It's about the size of a coach. You know, so the problem is, you know, in places like, you know, America and that, where we're not allowed to import very high thermal imaging camera. We cannot import it. Because it's classed as a military weapon. Will the same thing happen with that type of technology? You know, but the military technology from infrared and night vision. Night vision was around in the 1930s, actually. You know, it was a laboratory set up by the U.S. military that initially experimented with night vision technology, obviously for combat and that, and that's how we are what we have today. But we're only allowed a certain resolution, you know. So how good the technology is.
How good technology is. Do you believe certain numbers repeat themselves, Sam, as in pandemics, etc., that happen in the world? Do you believe that certain numbers do repeat themselves? You know, like how they say, I don't know. What would be a number that's repeated itself, though?
I don't know, but I mean, they do say that numbers repeat themselves, don't they?
It's like things on a certain day.
But is it just a coincidence?
Or it could be.
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes we can read into things, and
like
are actually going down. We're going down. Sometimes going down the wrong path, and very often, sometimes it's just chance. You
know? Amy's just asked, "Oh, Sam, I'm rubbish with electronics. I have just seen a 12-volt LED rope. Would that be something to have REM pod rope? Is it possible to make? Do you reckon?"
I tried experimenting with REM pod with instead of having an antenna, having a long line, so you could hang it from a ceiling or run it across the floor. The thing is, when you turn on a REM pod, when you get the antenna up a certain amount, if you put it up too far, it'll stay on. So there's some sort of an interruption in the magnetic field around it. If you have too long of an antenna on these, they'll keep going off. So you have to sort of you have to tune it until it's nice and sensitive.
I know. With that one that I made from that box that had got Ouija board on it, I found that the aerial I bought were long, and if I pulled the aerial up, even if I were like 2 foot away from REM pod, anything would set it off. But if you put it halfway down, it then became like a normal REM pod.
Yeah, but if you're connecting the LED, where the LED bulb is connected to the speaker, and you had that 12-volt LED rope, it would work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, we do have the team that I work with have these rubber mats, and they have got these little proximity sensors with these strips of lighting, and there's a rows of them along these mats and rows of these sensors. So if anything interrupts it, they know where it was interrupted in a way.
Yeah.
But you know, it will power you know, a rope of light.
Yeah.
And possibly because there's so many of them, it might quieten the speaker down, because the speaker is very loud on these. You know?
That's interesting. Not clear. Moody's put, I have a sound activated RBG light, RBG LED rope light. However, wind can set that off.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's quite interesting. It's having a sound activated one, but I suppose if you were using that in investigation, you'd have to
make sure everything was quiet.
Yeah.
Interesting though, that Moody. You'll have to send us a picture of that, or post it in group if you can. Do a little demonstration if you don't mind.
It's like the question I asked myself on the last investigation. When you get responses on the flashy balls, do the spirits or whatever move the flashy balls, or do they manipulate the electronics in the flashy balls? And that's why it's a good idea to get one of those flashy balls and encase it in resin or make it a square or something.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, so they can't move it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you make one of them if you had
Well, you could do, yes.
Can't be hard, can it, to buy what's inside one of them? Excuse me.
No, because you just get a flashy ball. You could actually buy that resin stuff, and if you bought a mold and you just put the ball in and mold it around it.
Oh, I'm going to find somebody that does resin. I'm going to message. I know who does resin.
Not that type of resin.
Not that type of resin. Not the smokables type. I know somebody that does resin. I'm going to get in touch with my dealer who does resin, and I'm going to ask them to put me in a square. Do you think something bizarre is going off in Antarctica? No one is allowed there, and if you look on Google Maps, there's a big area that they've erased. Do you know, I only heard about this a couple of months back. I'd not even heard about it. That's how behind times I am, Sam. Have you heard of it, Sam, this big thing in Antarctica?
I've heard of a couple of occasions where that's happened, yeah. It could be. It's see, the general public get frustrated when secrets are held from them.
Yeah.
But sometimes, just sometimes, the military and the governments hold back these secrets so we don't accidentally give certain information to an enemy force, if you know what I mean. Because, you know, there is, in some countries, there is tensions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, is there a submarine with, you know, certain technologies that some other military don't have there, or, you know, because, you know, when it comes to accidents and stuff like that, it happened with, I think it was Osama bin Laden, you know, when the US surrounded the fort, the complex, and that one of the helicopters messed up and crashed, and they actually had to put an explosive in it and destroy it. It was worth millions, but it was top notch, state of the art technology, and they had to destroy it so that the enemy doesn't get that technology, you know. So sometimes these other things might happen because it's something similar to that, you know. But it does.
It could be if we're going on conspiracy theories, people are saying that the government isn't real and that there's people above the government. They could be out in Antarctica living in that place. You know, it could be anything, couldn't it, really, in that space? Like you said, certain technology, certain people they could protect out there. Be really interesting. What about all these noises in the sky? Certain places. See, again, is it paranormal or is it just? I don't know what it could, but like thunder. You know, I don't know, but I mean, there is places, aren't there, that reporting these paranormal noises coming from the sky, where it's like big, like loud banging actually coming from the sky, or
sometimes horns.
Military with sonic booms.
But like, it could be military with sonic booms that we don't get told about. So it could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Claire thinks there's something fishy going off in Antarctica. Do you know? We have many secrets. We'll never be able to get a list of all locations, details of water sources for risk of terrorist attacks. True fact. Yeah, basically what you said, Sam. Really. No, I'd not. Like I said, Joanne, I only heard about Antarctica with this big, massive space, and they're not allowed to fly over it. Nobody's allowed to go near it. I only heard about it a couple of weeks ago because somebody put a post on about it. But otherwise, I'm behind times when it comes to it like that. I live in my bubble, and that's it. But yeah, any more questions on paranormal? Sam, have you got any other topics you want to touch upon, or John the Baptist?
John the Baptist.
Hey, dear, I'll tell you something. You really do want to go back and watch Sam's videos because they are, one, his investigations are absolutely top notch. The hours that Sam actually puts into his videos and his footage is just out of this world. The passion and everything else that Sam, Rachael, and other teams that Sam's worked alongside as well, the passion is really there. Plus, if you love the Irish accent, that's it. You're just well aware just listening to Sam all night just for his accent. But also, Sam has done some brilliant other videos when he's added little rants, and one of the good ones was a cow. I'm not even going to tell you what happened with the cow. You'll have to find the video and watch it for yourself. But there was even experiences with cows, weren't they, Sam?
Yeah,
an investigation.
Me and Rachael are sort of we muck about.
Yeah, you do have you enjoy it, and you have a laugh.
Yeah, Rachael is new to all of this. Obviously, she was in the last season with Dunree and all that kind of stuff and that. So she's relatively new to it. But, you know, when she had a camera on her, she was kind of nervous. But now, seeing as we're using tiniest pieces of light technology like that, you kind of forget that the camera's on. So, you know, the last investigation is full of beeps. We had to beep out half the stuff because but we do act the bell end sometimes, you know, and that might be a good source of.
You need to be serious.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, there'll be guesses at the beginning of investigations who's going to fire first.
Yeah,
because we try not to. We try to record everything and give everybody 100% as possible.
Yeah,
of the footage that we have.
Yeah,
it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
The thing is, we do it for the same reason Sam's doing it. We're doing it to find that proof, to compare evidence, to support each other and everything else, which there is a good few teams out there that do that. But also, like Sam says, you've got to have a laugh and a joke while you're out on location, because they can be boring, can't they, Sam? When you're going out and you're at locations, especially if you don't have anything coming through, it's boring for viewers to watch, I think, sometimes. And that's what we hit upon that, didn't we, other night, Sam, that they don't realise from watching TV programs to actually doing it to do what we do. There's places we can go, and at end at night we can think, oh my God, can't believe we ain't got nothing. And then you might not get nothing for like 3 nights. And then all of a sudden you've got that communication coming up, and things are interacting or whatever. So it's so intriguing to watch.
I think kind of weird, but I remember there was one episode last year of Dunree Fort where we were in the middle of investigation, and I brought in a stove and a frying pan and started cooking sausages in the middle of the investigation, thinking that possibly the smell of food, you know, And I basically says, you don't get this in Ghost Adventures, do you? And we were these sausages, you know?
Oh dear. Well, but it is. But I mean, even doing something like that though, Sam, if you're inside a place where a kitchen used to be, or a building that would have had some form of cooking, to go in and actually cook something just to get that aroma coming back in, you don't know whether that can trigger responses off.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to an abandoned building, when was the last time somebody actually cooked in it? It's, you know, could be years, you know.
Especially when you're going at castles and all these like when we went to that priory, you know, and places like that where things, they don't have that happening anymore and stuff. But yeah, performing on cue, they don't always do. No, they don't, Moody, and that's true. They're not they're not performing puppets, are they, is what a lot of people say. And I think sometimes even when we've put objects down, when we finished alive, me and John said to each other, maybe we shouldn't have put that, maybe we shouldn't have asked them to keep, can you light that up, or can you light them both? Because actually, if they want to interact with you, and once you've explained how they work, you shouldn't really have to keep saying, can you light me balls up? Can you light me teddy? And I do. I'm a cowbag for saying it. I constantly say, can you light me teddy bear up? Because I think it's what I want.
I do get funny looks though when we're stood in a cemetery and somebody walks past and I'm saying, can you touch me balls?
Yeah, that came up on our last investigation too, and I started laughing. And then Rachel says, "I didn't think that one through, did I?" Do you know? Do you know?
Dear.
But you know, when a lot of people demand a lot of things from the spirit world,
yeah,
when they're on investigations, and one thing that stuck with me was my friend ripping the head off me and say, how dare you go into a place and demand the spirits to set off devices and stuff. They're not circus animals.
Yeah.
Maybe if there were spirits, they were humans at one stage, like you or me. Yeah. And you're going into their place and you're going into their space. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we are
just like the other night when I was getting this, you shouldn't have come, why have you come? And then calling me a fat so-and-so. And it felt like I was ignoring them. And if I heard it in real time, I would have said, we're here to try and figure out about your world. Yeah. And I hope you don't mind us being here. And, you know, one thing kind of stuck in my mind as well is a girl called Sandy Lactar, who is a French investigator who she'd done her first investigations 2 weeks before she was invited into the Paris catacombs with Zach Bacons. They just met on the street. And what happened was Zach flew over to France and the airport lost his luggage. So he had no equipment. And they just met. And he explained the situation. I'm trying to do this Paris catacombs thing, and I've got no spirit box. Oh, she says, I got spirit box. And because of that, he invited her to do the thing with her. And she says in an interview, she was on a live stream there not so long ago, on somebody's live stream. She says, when I go into a place, I knock.
Yeah.
It's just polite to knock.
Yeah. Well, it is, you know, when you think about it, I mean, it is polite. If you go around to, even if we go to my mum's house, well, I don't knock at my mum's door, but John does. When we go to like John's mum's, he like gives her 2 knocks before he walks in.
If we go to your mum's house and she sees us coming, she locks the door before we get there. Well, I know she
does, but you don't have to tell everybody. But yeah, that politeness, I think that gets you more. I know that if I were a spirit and and somebody were polite enough to knock on door or just be polite when they come, I know that I would try my hardest to respond back to that person just because of the respect shown.
I think when we're asking for interactions with equipment, what we really should be doing, and sometimes I may forget.
We all do it, yeah.
Can you? I call all my equipment bells.
Yeah.
Can you go over and touch that? It's just a bell, and if you touch that, it will just tell us that you can speak with us.
Yeah.
I give them a choice. I don't say please do it. Sometimes I say, could you do it? And the reason why I want you to do it is because if you touch that bell, I know I'm not talking to my flipping self.
Yeah.
You know? Rather than you see some people, can you touch the REM pod? So you go into some of these places, the spirits are probably going, what the flip is a REM pod?
We've said this. And again, for some of them, do they think that it is a witchcraft kind of thing? No, depending on what era they're from. Do they think that they are like witchcraft objects that are going to curse them or hurt them or whatever? You don't know how they're going to look at them. I mean, I keep trying to send out objects.
I mean, it was
rather than what they are, or toys.
Squid Up Paranormal, but I was watching a program and there was a tribe somewhere, and they would never have the photographs taken because they believe if they have the photograph taken, the photos, the camera it stole the soul or the spirit, you know. So maybe these ghosts feel the same.
You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
But it'd be good to find out. But it were funny in here yesterday when Fletcher come here. We've got all Fletcher's toys out on the floor. And
see if I can find it.
Grandson's sat in front of John and he's playing with his toys. Next minute, one of his toys went off. So John says, John was joking with me and he says, somebody's just triggered that off. And I says, it's just his toy. Then John went, if there's somebody here, can you make that same toy go off? And it did. And it did it 3 times when we asked, and I'm like, no, our house is haunted. It's not, Sam, but I just think that
a kid's toy,
it's energy.
Put rings on. But on it, when you turn it on, it plays music and lights up. But to get it to do it when it's finished, do you know?
Just because you want to play with it, that's why you've emptied rings.
You actually have to... Shut up. Yeah.
And we can play.
I didn't realise.
It goes on for ages. Just put it down.
But you actually have to push that monkey down on top for it to go off. And it was just like that.
Do you want to play?
And it was going off just randomly.
Constantly.
As we're asking off. It. But you have to actually push the monkey.
Push head down for it to
work.
Put your ball your back on it.
I remember the first time I seen Mark Smith way back years ago meeting Order of Magnitude, and I didn't know who Order of Magnitude was. Yeah. And Order of Magnitude arrives on the scene with this flipping dinosaur. I was saying, who the flip is this? And I said, what's with the dinosaur? I said, that's a surprise to him. He seems a quirky guy, you know. But the dinosaur seems to have a kind of a story of its own, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so there's some of these
energy.
Yeah, I mean, like there's more interactive toys now with these robots and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely.
And that, all that technology is going into consumer items and toys and stuff like that, but that's where the market is. It's not where the paranormal is. It's a relatively small market, and that's why sometimes the research doesn't go into.
We've said this though, haven't we, Sam? Like you said, technology is going in.
Don't tell everybody, Bill.
Toys and stuff. Actually, that is John's. Tis John's toy. But yeah, that's so true that these people are working on toys, interactive toys for kids. there's nobody really doing anything for paranormal side, bar from a few people that, like you said, are using things or adapting things and selling them 3 times as much as what they're actually worth.
Yeah, I mean, the people that are into the old school are into and are into audio and visual will say that those type of devices will only give you limited answers.
Yeah,
that's why audio and visuals is the big important one. And actually, we're now got to a stage, and there is a company who actually has come out with colored night vision.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we may at some stage, when it gets affordable, it is on the market now, and I can't remember the name of the company, but maybe black and white and green night vision may be a thing of the past sometime in the future.
But that'd be good.
Yeah, but I do think there's a lot of detail in that grayscale night vision.
Yeah, I do like that one.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do one, but we're gonna have to do it on a pre-record.
Yeah, I do like the green, but I like the grayscale a lot better. I think that particular camera records in 1296p, so it's pretty good for a small little body camera with extra lights, and the lights only cost me 15 quid each. Actually, there's the box. There's the box. I don't know if there's too much light going on.
Just see it.
Yeah, just about see it.
Yeah. You have to send me a picture. Oh yeah, I can see it now.
There we go. NL.
That's what I wrote down other night. Yeah, I wrote that down on.
Yeah, so sometimes these night vision lights, they're big, massive rigs, and
they are.
I built rigs with everything under the sun, and then brought them on investigation. I ended up taking them apart. Says I can't carry this stuff around with me.
John's just had to buy a new bag. Simon got one other day, didn't he?
I bought one of them, like it's a rucksack. It's a camera rucksack, so it's got all them bits, them like partitions you can put in, them soft ones that Velcro in, so you can like split everything up into different areas. I found that a lot easier now.
Yeah, isn't it? Because you're not overloading yourself with different bags. Then you can get everything in that one bag, and it's quite a light bag.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm only sort of getting used to going out to investigation. You're going out to a dark place. You need a torch to set up your equipment.
Yeah.
And if you have it disorganized, crammed into a bag, it's very, very difficult to organize yourself.
Yeah.
And then trying to find everything. So sometimes these open bags are easier to. There was a bag that I had, and it was for carrying a small dog. It looked like the old sports bags.
Yeah.
But it had wire around it, and it kept its shape. And you just opened up the top, and you put your little dog in there. There's a little window on each side. I used to put my equipment in there because you just open the bag. You weren't.
Yeah.
It was just set in as if it was a very light box. You know.
Well, how many ways do you believe spirit can communicate with us? I think they can communicate with us in loads of ways.
Yeah, but you've only really got like your senses, haven't you? So you've got like smell, audio, visual. Do you know?
I suppose. Yeah. See, if you're looking at it that way.
I don't want to taste the spirit.
Do you know? Well, yeah. What do you think, Sam? Do you think same as John? Just like it's just the senses we've got that they can communicate with us all.
Yeah, but the evidence is heading towards that. Sometimes they can actually, on Spirit Box anyway, that they can actually answer questions that we had in our head and we're about to say, and we haven't said them yet. The answer comes out.
Yeah, that's happened to me and John on one investigation. I was sat in car, and John had gone out onto location on his own, and I was typing questions in, and the spirit box was responding to my questions. And John actually says on live, it's responding back to what you've just asked. And because we were on YouTube, the questions were like coming up pretty quick. But that's happened to us once, hasn't it? And then it's never happened to us again since. But just that once, they were just that way when I were asking questions, and Spirit Box were
and you know,
it was so interesting.
You know, I was starting to open up a little bit more and sort of take into account that possibly, you know, elementals are involved. And, you know, I had just watched some of Andy's elemental encounter stuff. And I you know, and I said, Andy, you know, something, I just going to go out to the woods and I just going to be open-minded, you know, rather than just putting it all down to label everything as spirits and that. But I actually went to Dunry Fort, and I done a spirit box session in the building that burnt down. And in my head, I was wondering, you know, I wonder, does gnomes roam around the place, and what's that world like?
Right, Penny.
And next thing it came up on the spirit box, I'm a gnome, and I'm going,
really? Wow.
And I put it out on Premiere, and Andy got it straight away.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him afterwards. I says, that was going through my head. What is gnome? What is elemental creatures?
Yeah.
Do you know, where did they reside? What did they do? It's all new to me. And it was in my head because I had just watched one of Andy's videos and that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important when you're going out to an investigation not to bring your
anything with you.
Your bad grievances or your bad anger, or if you're sick or whatever, your mind has to be in the right place.
It does. You know? It does. Will elementals make noises rather than say words, do you think? When we've talked to Andy about this, and I don't know if you've had conversation as well, Sam, elementals find it difficult. They don't communicate as we communicate. They're more one-word answers, I think Andy said, when we were talking to him that time on communication. But yeah, I think they do. They possibly can't. I don't know. I'd have to. I think unless Sam knows. I mean, I think that's a question we'd have to get Andy on and ask Andy, because I think he'd be able to answer. He's worked with the elements for such a long time, whereas though we do like a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, James. To be honest.
Well, I got, you know, the response, I'm a gnome. But the thing is, you know, when we ask questions and we get answers, sometimes we're not given the right information sometimes.
No, we're not.
You know, I've tried experiments before where I got lost inside an abandoned hospital. And I says, spirits, I need your help. You need to help me get out of here. Do I turn left or right, or do I go straight on? They were going to go left, go right, go left. They were putting me around in circles. Do you know? And you know, that those kind of mysteries that you get, it's kind of cheapened now with what we have, you know, under the umbrella of the paranormal.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, and I says in my last video, I says, you know, something as small as a response to your question that you know for a fact that it is a response, and there's a curse word in there with a couple of words.
Yeah.
That's a response. So there's something communicating there. Yeah. That's huge stuff. That is massive stuff.
Yeah.
But
because
on YouTube,
on
YouTube, it's not. Yeah, on YouTube, it's nothing anymore because it's not scary and it's not poltergeisty and guys, I'm freaking out and they're running out of the woods and, you know, people dressed up in nun suits and all this scary stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that response, a small little response like that you know it can't be radio.
Yeah.
Or a response to a tap on the door. You say, "Can you knock twice for me?" And you get knocked twice for me. That's fascinating stuff.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's not looked when you get it, because the reactions have been played on. People don't think it's a big thing, but it is a big thing when you catch any kind of evidence. It's a huge thing. It's just that our response and a few other people's responses into, like Sam says, go running out at woods or start shouting and screaming that you're scared to death because this response has happened. That's what's made them. And again, I think I don't think it's damaged the field, but I think that through all the entertainment ones, the paranormal serious side doesn't get doesn't get credit or recognized. Because people just think that it's just a joke, do you know?
Well, it's not that. I think a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people like to watch the entertainment stuff because it's scary. There's jump scares in it. It's whatever. It's like an horror movie.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go on an investigation, it's not like that.
Yeah. Have you ever been on an investigation, etc., that night, dreamt and seen something in your dream which is linked to an investigation? I personally haven't, not from when I was younger, but it weren't an investigation. Have you?
No,
have you, Sam?
There's two investigations I've done at Sharon Rectory, and a couple of nights before, I had a dream of this house and stuff, the inside. And when I got to the house, I didn't actually express it on camera, but it seems like I was already there before. And it was my first time ever doing a walkthrough in the place, like, you know.
Wow.
You know, I am sensitive, but I'm an uncontrolled sensitive, and that's why I jumped into equipment and I shut myself off, because it affects your everyday life when you're trying to get on with your everyday things. You know, sometimes there was troubles in the place where I live.
Yeah.
And there is a certain spot that causes a ringing in my ear. And it's actually where a bomb went off.
Wow.
You know, there was one time.
You have to be careful though, Sam, because again, them energies could affect you personally, do you know? So you've got to be really careful, especially being sensitive like that, I think.
You know, when you're in a crowd of people, you've got all that energy. It starts becoming a kind of a. You start to hear everybody's voice all at once, and it's kind of just. And if there's a big. I remember one time there's a bit of a road rage incident in a traffic jam, and I could get this pressure in my head, and I knew something was going down. And the next thing, these two fellas started laying into each other. I just sort of knew there was something. Yeah, but you know, I have dreamt of seeing the inside of the house before I actually went in. I don't know how. I can't explain that. You know, I'm skeptical of mediums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yet I do experience some stuff myself.
Yeah, I think
it's not that I don't believe in mediums. It's sometimes you get people that interact with you on your channels and stuff, and they sort of try and take over the chat, and they want the attention. Some people want the attention on them.
Yeah,
that's what you know. I'm not.
You're not knocking them, but I know what you say. Yeah,
and I'm not targeting anybody specific, but sometimes that can happen.
It can get a bit overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah, where they need it could, maybe it's not a medium at all. Maybe it's somebody that wants the attention all the time, and that's the way they do it. You just don't know.
And unfortunately, you get people like that, don't you? So
if you don't know them, you know.
Yeah, exactly. What we're going to say? Sam, you didn't shut yourself off sometimes to speak. Yeah, and just, I mean, again, Sam, I'm not sure whether you put protection or do a protection before you actually go out. I do. There's a meditation I do. It's a 7-minute one on YouTube, and I do that before we go out. And it's not religious. It's not a religious one, so it's open that anybody could do it. I'll send it you, Sam, and let you have a listen to it and see what you think. Just because and especially again with Rachael being sensitive too, it's something that you just like protect it. It's just like a protection for yourself. But I suppose that you've got to believe in that thing.
It's all intent,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I was saying to you on the phone the other day, when I'm working with the team, they always remember to do a prayer in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I never seem to be in the circle. I don't think they actually do a closing prayer.
Yeah.
They do one at the beginning to protect us and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I remember I wrote in one of these groups, I says, do you ever go home from an investigation, you're driving home and you're constantly looking in the rear view mirror in case you have extra passengers with you?
Yeah.
And nearly every one of them have done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know, where you feel kind of a bit unease and just...
Yeah.
But
we've been to investigations and we've not closed down afterwards. And we've got halfway home and I've said to John, and then I'll just start ranting.
Only one we had that were really weird. We're coming home from an investigation one night. And you know, we're like in our car, it's a modern car. So it's got, you know, if like you sat in the seat and you ain't got your seatbelt on, it comes up on dashboard and tells you.
Beeps, doesn't it?
Now, we got a seatbelts on in front, but it was telling us somebody in back seat ain't got a seatbelt on, but there were nobody in back.
I'll tell you when that was. That was when we'd done Stocksbridge.
Yeah.
That was when we'd done Stocksbridge bypass.
Saying on dash, it comes up with like back seat with 3, and then it shows you which one ain't got a seatbelt on.
And it showed you one behind John's chair didn't have its seatbelt on. And at that point, I just went, if there's any energies here, you're not allowed to attach to us or as equipment, you must leave us. Because it was just like, oh my God, there's somebody sat in back of our car. And there was nothing on the back seat that could have caused nothing at all. And that's only been one time.
One time it's happened.
Yeah, and it's never happened since. But yeah.
So I remember the first time I went to the Cooney and Ghost House. Now, the first time I ever heard of it was Northern Ireland's Greatest Haunts.
Yeah.
And Andy Matthews used to do Northern Ireland's Greatest Haunts and Britain's Greatest Haunts, or UK's Greatest Haunts. He was an investigator that only used dowsing rods, and he was a medium, and Marion Goodfellow was part of it as well. And then there was a filming crew, an investigating crew. And they got sick at this location, So, they didn't express that on the investigation, but in an interview afterwards. But I said to a friend of mine, I want to go there because that's going to give me a brilliant video, and I haven't done any investigations. So we decided we'd go, and I show inside the house and stuff like that. And the thing is, it didn't go up on, there's only parts of it that went up on YouTube because the files got corrupt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this sulfur smell, manifested. Don't know where it was coming from. It was in the house. The roof was missing of the house, so it should have escaped and that. But we were on the way home anyway, and next thing the sulfur smell started again. And I turned around to my friend and I said, did you fart? And he says, no. I says, there's an awful smell of sulfur again. It's like this. It's like what happened in the house. But it came on all of a sudden. And next thing I says, I need to pull over. And I pulled over, opened the door, and I just got physically sick. It was just, and I says to my friend, he says, get out of that car now, until we do something,
Yeah. But you can, I think you can feel it, and I think you can sense it when it's happening. I'm sure Meryl's gone to make a cup of tea and Bewitched has just gone. But I'm sure, I can't remember, I know it was one of the gathering, and I think it was Meryl. We actually went to a place and Meryl had dreamed this place where we was.
Right.
Can't you remember?
I can remember
I'm sure, I'm half tempted to say it was Meryl. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe, because Meryl doesn't live in UK. I think Meryl is in Australia. And we went to, I can't remember where we went, but she'd seen this place in one of her dreams, but yet she's not been to UK.
And we'd not
announced where we were going. We just like turned up at a location. And that were really, really weird, that, weren't it? Because Meryl were like, oh my God, I know where I've seen this place. I've dreamt of, and she'd been telling all girls of this place that she'd been dreaming of. And then all of a sudden, we were there and everything were exactly as she described it. It was so weird. It was really weird. But yeah, it were interesting, weren't it? It were right good. So I think, Sam, we're going to call it. We've been on 2 hours, 25 minutes.
Unfortunately, Rachel.
No, Rachel hasn't made it tonight, but I'm sure she'll join us on one of our chit chats very soon. And I do know that she had a guest turn up out at Blue tonight, so maybe they stayed longer than they should have. But Sam, would you join us again on another chit chat?
We can do, and if I go live, I need to take that step of confidence and get back and do it live myself.
Yeah. If you want us to come on one of your lives on YouTube or Facebook, whichever it is, Sam, just gives a heads up and we'll come and join you on yours.
Yeah.
If that's all right with you.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on.
Anytime. Anytime.
It's good to talk to other people that are in the field and because where we are, sometimes we don't have other people like this to talk to.
No,
and this is a good way.
Not a lot of people understand, do they? So at least we know on here, everybody that's in chat that's joined us, us ourselves understand where everybody is, and actually, it's such a good, positive vibe that we've got going off when we do these chats.
What I would say to viewers, when you're looking at content that's live streams, and when you're looking at it, you're part of that investigation.
Yeah.
And it's a good idea to have headphones in.
Oh, definitely.
To listen to it, because you can miss stuff. And sometimes some of that stuff is really, really valuable stuff. Sometimes I put subtitles, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And then, you get comments, great video. But, you think you didn't even watch it, did you?
And that's another thing. Always make sure that you comment on a video as well that you've seen, especially onto YouTube. Facebook, it's easy to just join in comments. Yeah. But on YouTube, once you've put a video up,
always try and leave a comment.
Because that does help other people get to see it as well. So if you do watch, please leave comments.
Yeah, there is a couple of things to watch out for. There is these people that start off a live and say, write out in the comments how you feel right now. What does this place make you feel? And they're hyping up. The people are going creepy, spooky, blah blah blah. They're trying to build up the fear there.
Yeah.
So you get to know the people that are not going to fill you up with nonsense.
Yeah.
They're going to give you honesty. Because at the end of the day, you got supporters. Why lie to them? They're giving you support. Why lie to them? And that's the way I look at things. If we get stuff, we get stuff. We don't get stuff, we don't get stuff.
Exactly. You can't. You've got to be. It's like we've always said: honesty and trust and respect. Those three things are what's key to us, and that goes for everything we do in life. Honesty, trust, and
no, I don't think you can love my family. But if you want to put, if there's a picture you want to put up, just put it up on our page on Facebook.
Yeah, you're welcome to share on the page, guys. Only thing I don't share on page, on the group, we keep that for like things like tonight where we're working with people, or if Sam puts something new out, we'll share it in his group and we'll share it on his page. But if anybody's sharing anybody's lives out, please make sure it's done on the page and not the group, because the group is more for ETA and who we actually work with. That's what we use on his group for. But his page, anybody can post who they want on. But we are Sam, you're all right to post in page, because obviously we talk to you, we work with you in ways, so it's different. You know what I mean? It's
Rachael. I don't use Facebook very much, but Rachael the all time advertises our channel on other people's channels, and then
tell her to drop it on our page, a group.
But a lot of them, you have to sort of ask, you have to read the rules. Sometimes they only allow you to post stuff on Tuesdays or whatever.
I've put it on in group rules, but we always say with those that we work alongside, then we've got no problem sharing their stuff in group, because we're working with you. Do you know what I mean, Sam? So but tell Rachael she can post in our group anytime she wants and on page.
So right then, guys,
we're gonna love you and we're gonna leave you, and we want to say thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you to our fantastic moderators, to our fantastic ETA family. If you are new, please follow and share. And if you're on YouTube,
just follow and on Facebook and subscribe.
And don't forget, subscribe on YouTube, but also pop across to Life Afterlife TV Productions and
Foyle Paranormal Investigators.
Yes, for absolute fantastic footage and conversations. So take care, my lovelies, and we shall see you soon.
You're very welcome. We shall see you all soon.
Bye.
It takes me about 5 minutes to this, so don't worry about it.